Hello everyone, my name is Jacket, and welcome to my series about old school RuneScape. In these videos, I want to go over various topics that players might have on their minds, and today's topic is Guardians of the Rift. Now, I know rune crafting is not everyone's favorite topic. It's actually one of my least favorite topics. That's kind of why I want to go over it, because there were some things that I found out while actually playing this minigame that allowed me to make sure that I was not failing any games. I didn't know how to start a match, like what people were doing to make sure that the rounds were ending early, where the Guardian was dying. So I figured I'd put out some information about this. And by some, I mean I wrote way too much about this guide, and I might as well put it out there for everyone else. Uh, if this helps you at all, get into Guardians of the Rift. That's pretty much my only goal. I don't think that rune crafting is particularly fun, but at least Guardians of the Rift, we have some various ways to train, and you get some pretty decent rewards. So, with that being said, so I know you're asking me, what is Guardians of the Rift? Well, Guardians of the Rift is a rune crafting minigame with a maximum of 200 players allowed to participate. In this minigame, you mine Guardian remains, craft that into essence, like you would get pure essence essentially, but this one is called Guardian Essence, and you turn that essence into energy and power cells by rune crafting at an altar. That energy that you create is used to power the Great Guardian in the center of the room, and the power cells are used in two different ways. One way you can use it is to power the barriers around the room, which block the abyssal attackers that are coming out of the abyssal rift at the far end of the room, and they can also be used to power guardians, which help defend the rift from those abyssal threats. So I know this might not sound like a whole bunch if you're not sure what Guardians of the Rift is, but I can assure you we're going to get into some more of that here in a little bit. So first, let's talk about requirements. So the first thing is some of the requirements of Guardians of the Rift are going to be completing the Temple of the Eye quest, and it's technically 27 rune crafting. Because that's what the quest gives you. I think you need like 10 or 12. I'll put it up on the screen what you need officially. But between 10 or 12 is required for Temple of the Eye. But once you complete Temple of the Eye, you will actually get 27 rune crafting. So you'll have 27 rune crafting when you start this minigame if you're starting from the ground up. Some of my helpful but not mandatory requirements are going to be lunar diplomacy. I know that sounds very steep, depending on how you are handling your questing journey. But lunar diplomacy allows you to contact the dark mage via NPC contact. It's a very important spell to be able to repair your rune pouches if you're using rune pouches, which brings me to my second point. Really want to have as many rune essence pouches as possible. There are 4 different types: small, medium, large, and huge. You can even get the colossal one after you reach 85 rune crafting and you play this minigame in particular for some of the rewards. Stay tuned, we will talk about some of the rewards you get from this game. However, it's really important that you have as many of these pouches as possible. Only the small one that carries 3 essence will never break. Every other one does actually break, so you want to have NPC contact just for a smooth amount of gameplay. Otherwise, those 2 are not mandatory at all. And then you want to try to get 56 agility for the shortcut to the large Guardian remains. Those give you the most amount of fragments as possible, which we will get into as well. But those are some of my short requirement lists here. So you have to have Temple of the Eye. You'll get technically 27 rune crafting before you can start. Lunar diplomacy, 56 agility, and again as many rune essence pouches as possibly can get. Now there are several ways to get to this minigame. I'm going to put up a picture for you from the wiki of how you can get there. I would recommend just taking the minigame tab teleport, and it'll get you right to the Temple of the Eye. You will teleport right into the lobby. That's how I always get there. That's what I would recommend. A few quick alternate ways would be like a necklace of passage to the wizard tower, a amulet of glory to Draenor and run south. Then you go into the basement of the wizard's tower, or you can take the fairy ring as well. The main entrance to Guardians of the Rift is actually in the wizard's tower basement. So you'll take the floor down, and there'll be a blue portal there. You click on the blue portal and you can get in once you have completed the Temple of the Eye quest. Now, essentially, the goal of the minigame is to protect and power up the Great Guardian in the middle of the room. To accomplish this, the players need to build barriers and craft guardians to fend off the incoming Abyssal Horde, and this is where rune crafting comes in. Players will mine guardian remains, craft it into essence, and go to an altar that is currently available to craft the essence. To get guardian fragments, you'll need to mine broken guardians around the arena. There are small, medium, large, and huge guardian remains located throughout the arena. The large guardian mine is typically used at the beginning of the game and requires 56 agility to get. The small and medium ones are used to top up in the event you run out of fragments during the game. Keep in mind, you can always choose where you want to go to mine, but most strategies avoid going back down to the large guardian once the game is started. The only way to access the huge guardian is through a portal spawned in intervals throughout the game. Mining this huge guardian will grant essence instead of fragments, saving a bit of time. Crafting an elemental or catalytic altar will reward its corresponding rune, meaning a law altar will grant law runes like normal rune crafting and essence. If you craft at air, water, earth, and fire, you will get elemental essence, and if you craft at any of the other 8, you will get catalytic essence. We'll go over the groups of the ones for catalytic here in a moment. The next part is having uncharged cells with you. When you craft, if you have an uncharged cell in your inventory, it will become charged with either weak, medium, strong, or overcharged energy. Here is a breakdown of how this works based on the rune crafted. Each elemental rune will grant a different type of charged cell, air being weak, water being medium, earth being strong, and fire being overcharged. It's easiest to remember this because the elemental rune color matches the charged cell color. For the catalytic runes, they are segmented by groups of 2. Mind and body being weak, cosmic and chaos being medium, nature and law being strong, and death and blood being charged. Or overcharged, I guess is the official term for it. So once you've crafted runes at the current altar, you'll take the portal back. This will put you between the 2 crafting tables. You'll now need to choose what you do with your cell and give your essence to the Great Guardian in the middle table. Cells can be used in 2 different ways. Cells can be used to craft a guardian of the strength equal to the power of the cell level, being weak, medium, strong, or overcharged. The more strong and overcharged guardians you have, the easier the game will be, as they will clear the most abyssal threats. Cells can be used in barrier tiles to strengthen and heal barriers, or create new barriers if there is no existing barrier. These tiles have colors corresponding to cell used to indicate their strength and health, and a health bar to show exactly how much health they have left. Similar to the Guardians, you'll want all overcharged barriers at some point in the game, meaning all of the tiles will be red at a certain point. Crafting a Guardian gives you points in that specific Guardian's elemental or catalytic power, and powering a barrier contributes to both pools with the same exact value. If a barrier's health reaches 0, the tile is broken. You will need 10 essence to repair it to be able to put cells back into the barrier tile. So you're going to want to take your pick of what you want to be doing. If you are allowed to craft any Guardians, I would highly recommend that you craft more Guardians, which is indicated by a number at the top of the screen of how many Guardians are crafted. If not, just go ahead and put it in the closest barrier cell if all of the barriers look pretty healthy and the game is not at risk of being lost. The last part are talismans. This is a random occurrence throughout the game. You can get a talisman when crafting an altar for that current game. These will expire at the end of the game. Talismans allow you to access altars even if they are not part of the current active set of altars, meaning that if an altar set is blood and air and you have a death talisman, then you can go into the death altar at any point you want throughout the rest of this game of Guardians of the Rift to craft at that death altar. One time. It consumes the talisman when you go in. It can be pretty handy for higher tier runes if you want them. Otherwise, you can toggle them off. There is a right-click option to toggle off and on any of the talismans you wish to receive throughout the game. I have all of them turned off except for Fire, Death, and Blood, since I want as many overcharge cells as I can get, and everything else would just get in the way of my inventory. Now that sums up pretty much everything. That's the entire minigame explained from start to finish. Eventually, you'll power up the Guardian. He'll get to 100%, and then he will send off the attackers. So you'll want to balance out your elemental and catalytic energy so that your reward pools are equal. You need one of both points to pull one time from the rewards Guardian, so it's important that you're keeping up that 1-to-1 ratio for catalytic and essence. All right. So how do we accomplish what we just went over? Well, we're going to start with a good inventory, and having a good inventory and good spacing and knowing what your routes are going to look like are going to be key to being very successful in this game. So your inventory should look like this. A chisel, the best rune crafting pouches you can use that are filled with essence, right? You'll fill them with essence. An actual rune pouch if you have one. If you have a divine rune pouch, that is a better one. You want the rune pouch to be filled with runes to cast NPC contact for the Dark Mage to repair your rune essence pouches. And then the items that are obtained from the minigame, which are uncharged cells and guardian fragments. You'll be getting these throughout the game, so do not worry about them right now as you walk into the game. Here is an example of my equipment. There are a couple adjustments you can make, as you may want to do a full graceful outfit if you don't have the correct achievement diary done for the Varrock armor. The Varrock armor allows you to mine more guardian fragments, just making it a bit easier on you throughout the entire game. But essentially, everything you want boils down to any pickaxe, your best one that you can possibly use and afford. The Raiment of the Eye set if you have it. If you do not have it, then, which you probably won't if you're watching this guide, so it's going to be more likely what I have here, which is graceful. A Varrock plate body for doubling the mining yield, and then whatever your best fashion scape is. I see a lot of infernal capes, a lot of 99 capes going on in there. Just whatever you really feel like wearing, as long as you're not running out of energy, then maybe you want to make sure you're handling, that part of it. Why we recommend graceful, fortunately. So, that was a lot of information. I'm going to give you a couple breakdowns here. We're going to go from walking into a game to what I would recommend doing to make sure you don't lose the game, and then going into a swift full 1 cycle rotation of you having to craft your own essence, and then you having to go into a portal right after that to get the free essence from the huge guardian. So what that looks like is you set up barriers and guardians with a free weak cell from the table. As you enter Guardians of the Rift, on the right side there is a weak cell table. You only hold one of these at a time, and what you'll do is you'll grab one before the game starts, go to a corresponding portal that is not taken, meaning someone's not standing there waiting to put a cell in as well, and you can drop your weak cell as the game starts to create a barrier. And this gives your team leeway so that you guys can participate in the rest of the game, meaning you won't lose immediately. This is a very important step. Making sure that every barrier is active at the start of the game does ensure at least somebody is going to be able to craft some runes and get the Guardian some HP, which is really important. The other thing you can do to start the game, if you notice all of the barriers are being built, is you can make a few Guardians. You could take the same weak cell from the same table, craft whichever guardian you prefer. I don't think that they do anything different other than the level of cell you put in them, and give yourself some early game power to fight off some abyssal creatures. Your other alternative to starting the game is going to the actual guardian mine itself, meaning just mining from a medium one that's in the main room, or going to the large one if you have 56 agility, and mining from the second the game starts till about 20 seconds that are left, in which you want to start crafting your essence. I don't have a typical number I would recommend. Sometimes I will mine until the first portal appears. Sometimes I'll mine till about those 20 seconds, and I'll make a full inventory. It depends on how many rune essence pouches you have and how many essence you need to craft initially. So anywhere between 40 seconds left and 20 seconds left, if you have all of the rune pouches and need to craft multiple inventories of essence, I would say leaving later is better, or leaving earlier is better. You want to leave about 40 seconds if you have all of the essence available, all of the essence pouches available, and you want to leave about 20 seconds if you have almost none of them. Once that happens, you'll leave the area that you're currently in, and you're going to go over to the table that's on the left as you enter the room. This table is used to craft the fragments in essence as you need it. You're going to then go into an active altar, craft like your normal rune crafting, take the portal back out, give the Great Guardian the essence that you had crafted, and add your cell to a barrier or craft a guardian. Now, I would recommend, if you're going for only points, always putting a barrier in and making sure you put a barrier in to the left, which gets you back to the table faster. After you craft all the runes, you can deposit all your runes to the blue portal that's to the left of the table here. As I mentioned earlier, while doing all of this, try to balance all the points that you get between elemental and catalytic energy, as you need one of both types to pull from the rewards guardian. There's a reason I'm saying it multiple times throughout this video, is you'll not be able to pull if you have 0 elemental and 28 catalytic points. So let's talk about another potentially hot topic about this game and another strategy you can do in this game. This is called the AFK strat, and you're basically leeching off of everyone else at this point to get some passive and AFK rune crafting experience. But with this strategy, at least you're going to make sure that the game's actually go through, and you're participating in at least the very beginning of it, while guaranteeing yourself about between 6 and 8 minutes of AFK time, while you get that juicy, couple thousand of experience as the game ends. You won't be getting very much experience, but it's better than 0 if you can't stand it at all. So, the relatively AFK strategy, where you sacrifice rewards and maximum XP for a longer AFK time, it's typically frowned upon. If you got AFK, like you're at work or something, again, it's a long, grindy skill, and a lot of people don't like it. It's not something I mind personally, but I would prefer you do what I'm about to explain if you are going to leech, if you can, while you are AFKing. Or just double checking that other people are doing it, and maybe you put up a barrier or something, but we're going to go into that here in a second. So this method I'll show for leeching does make sure that you're going to be participating like I've been explaining here in the past couple. So to start, you'll grab a weak cell from the table and make sure every barrier is active in the pregame, meaning you're going to be AFK anyways. You need to craft about 200 points of energy, and you don't need to be hard focusing like other people are who are trying to maximize how many points they get and how much XP they get. So your job is going to be making sure that not only do they get that, but also that you get your reward by the game continuing past about a minute into it. So you'll grab a weak cell, you go and make sure that every barrier is active in the pregame, and you're going to craft a minimum of one of each type of guardian to make sure you balance out your own points. If people are crafting guardians, again, you don't need to do this, but this is just to ensure that if you are going to leech, you are making sure that the game is successful. Then you're going to go ahead and mine a number of fragments until the first portal spawns. You'll take that portal, you're going to mine an inventory of essence, you'll craft that into the runes, deposit the energy into the guardian, deposit the cell accordingly. You'll craft your own one inventory of the opposite that you started. So if you did elemental, you'll do a catalytic altar. If you did catalytic, you'll do an elemental altar. Rinse and repeat with the energy and cells, and then you just mine fragments for the rest of the game. Now, again, I know this is not necessarily good to promote, but we all got AFK sometimes, and I would rather have people doing this method than just mining the entire game, not caring if they win or lose, and doing the absolute bare minimum. Put a little bit of effort in if you're going to leech, just a smidge. It doesn't take more than about a minute if you have that while you're AFKing. And finally, the juicy part, the part that everybody wants to be a part of. All of the rewards that we get, all the goodies that you can get from Guardians of the Rift. Well, there are some big ticket items like the Abyssal Pearl. The Abyssal Pearls are used to purchase everything you can from the shop, from the temple supplies, from Apprentice Felix right next to the bank chest that's outside, which include all of the raiment pieces, the raiment of the eye pieces, Ring of the Elements, Guardian's Eye, and every talisman your heart could ever desire. There are a couple other major items. This is like a medium item, but intricate pouches are something you can get, which can hold some interesting loot. You get XP lamps, Tarnished Locket, which turns into the Amulet of the Eye, which is a teleport back here, a Lost Bag, which is a cool cosmetic, Blood Essences, all runes except Wrath. You can get some dragon items like a Dragon Spear, Medium Helm, and Left Half, Crystal Keys, and Clue Scrolls. You'll get the really cool Catalytic Talisman that lets you into all the Catalytic Altars, the Abyssal Needle that is used to make the Colossal Pouch, the Abyssal Lantern, and all Abyssal dyes, which include red, blue, and green, to dye the Raiment of the Eye set. And that's everything you need to know. I really do hope this does either help you want to either get into the activity, give you an understanding of it, but not worried about doing it. And so, real quick, that's why I'm making all these guides, is that I've been doing a bunch of variety content throughout RuneScape, because one of my biggest things was I don't want to do it because I don't want to learn it, or I was worried I might mess it up for other people, or, you know, the fear of not knowing really can keep you out of doing things in this game. And that's why I want to make these type of guides. It's just get you the knowledge, get you in there. Rune crafting, you throw on something nice to watch, you have yourself a nice relaxing. It's a pretty decent way to get some rune crafting experience. Consider the alternative is lava rune crafting, essentially. So that's about it. Be sure to check out the wiki. I'm always going to link it in the description as well. They're going to have more in-depth information. They'll have a strategy guide of optimizing, but that's what they're there for. It's really important that we have people like that too, because it helps us be as casual as we would like to do. They have the optimal setups, like I mentioned. And so, thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like the video if it did help you, if you liked it. If you didn't like it, let me know as well. That's fine. I love to take criticism and feedback. It'd be awesome. And subscribe for more content. Peace!